Previously, we had spoken about human needs, how we have different human needs, psychological, emotional, etc. We need to be connected, we need to feel significant, we need to sense that we have some sort of value in our lives. We need to feel that we're growing, we need to feel that we have, a part in society. So this little hexagon represents those needs. And we try to meet those needs at different levels. So this little elevator model is something that might explain this concept a bit. So this is our little journey here. And we start off at floor 1, which is gratification. This is the most common way that we try to meet our needs. We look for some sort of distraction, some sort of fun. It could be video games, social media, chocolate cake, some sort of thing that just makes us feel good in the moment. It's short term, and sometimes when we're distressed or stuck in a bit of a rut, we will go back to a short term pleasure to help us feel better. But what it does is it creates a sort of a trap. And if we do that for long enough, we can end up in trouble. Now, having some chocolate cake, for an example, is not any great harm to you. But if all you eat is chocolate cake, all of a sudden, you've got a problem. Okay? So if we do gratification for long enough as our way of feeling, feeling alive, eventually we end up in the basement of stagnation. So I tried to have all of these rhyme together. So stagnation is where you end up, where your vice doesn't even make you feel good anymore. It actually, you feel imprisoned. You feel that you're going backwards, that you're feeling the consequences of the action that you've taken. So what we've got to do is get beyond gratification to transformation, where we start to get new associations to what would have, been seen as an obstacle before, what would have seemed as pain or seemed as a challenge, whether it's, getting out on the road and having a run for the first time, or giving up the cigarettes, or, whatever the challenge is, denying yourself and moving beyond the comfort and the gratification. So this is the hard bit, but we've got to see beyond it. We've got to see ourselves to, in how we want to be when we move beyond the painful process of transformation, So it's, what do we want instead? That's going to make us feel alive. How can we meet these needs at a level that's fulfilling, where we are actually developing our talents and expressing ourselves fully? Each one of us has, a mine of gems within us, different talents. We all have different talents. And the reality is that if we don't express those, if we don't mine our gifts and cut those diamonds and polish them through education, through training, through our interaction in the world, what will happen is we will start to feel, there's a sort of an anxiety that builds up when we are not living to our fullest. And what human beings try to do is to suffocate that. They try to get that feeling of anxiety to just shut up. So we give it some sort of a thing to keep it quiet, but it just shouts louder and louder and knocks on the door harder. So this is where we get to develop our talents, our gifts. But there's a level beyond that, which is liberation, where we step outside of ourselves, not just become self-actualized, but we actually move beyond our needs. We move into the realm of selflessness, of service. In fact, true self-mastery is self-forgetfulness. It is when we get lost in the service of humanity, of the greater good, of elevating others and setting others free, that we ourselves become free. So this is the little elevator model that I have. And Prince, who recently left us, God rest him, said that, in his Let's Go Crazy song recently, that the elevator, about not letting the elevator break us down, that he associated that with the devil. But I suppose another way of looking at it is that we have a lower self and a higher self. The lower self is like the animal part of us that wants the satisfaction and the gratification and the impulsiveness and is egotistical. That's the part of us that pulls us into that basement. The higher part of us, the higher self, wants us to overcome and transcend that animal self, to be liberated, to move beyond the ego into the realms of love, into the realms of the divine part of us. So, thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting and it helps you in some way.